Here we are at Mahindra of Greensburg. Today we're going to do a quick demonstration on how to remove and reinstall the belly mower. Today we're using a Max 26. That's one of our most popular tractors, though the process is very similar on all the models. First thing you want to do is make sure the mower deck is lowered to the ground the entire way so that the casters are on the ground. You just do that by simply lowering your 3-point hitch. Everything will drop at once. Once the mower is on the ground, you're going to pull a total of 3 pins. First one is right here on the front of the tractor. It's got a nice silver loop on it, makes it easy to pull. As soon as you pull that, the bracket will fall to the ground. Pin number 2 is right here. It uses a key ring style retainer. Go ahead and unthread that, remove the pin, and we'll repeat that same process on the other side. And again, it's got the key ring style retainer. Undo that and set the pin aside. Last step is to remove the drive shaft, which is on the rear of the tractor. We're going to go ahead and remove it on this tractor, and then we'll actually show you the underneath of one so you can see it easier. But it's right under the rear end. There's a collar that you'll release, slide the drive shaft forward, and let it fall to the ground. At this point, we'll go ahead and start up the tractor, put it in 4-wheel drive, low range, and just proceed to back up over the deck. It is a drive over deck. So when you go to remove that drive shaft, this tractor we have up in the air, simply squeeze that collar back and the drive shaft will slide right off. At this point we have the tractor running. We're going to go ahead and raise the 3-point hitch to get that mower linkage up and out of the way. Sometimes on smooth floors or wet days like we have today, it might be easier to push down with the loader bucket to get those front wheels to come up and ride over the top of the deck smoothly. The bucket should slide pretty well on a smooth floor like we're working with today. Once you're up on the deck, you can go ahead and get the bucket out of the way and just proceed slowly over the deck. We're going to go ahead and reinstall the mower deck. Again, today's a rainy day and we're doing this on smooth concrete. If you drop the mower deck in gravel or in grass, it'll stay put much easier. But again, I'll show you how you can use the bucket to get the tractor to go up over the deck easily. So if you apply just a little bit of downforce with the front loader, that'll allow the tractor wheels to get up onto that slippery deck surface a little bit easier. And once you're on top of it, it should go pretty smooth from that point on. Just go slow in low gear, 4-wheel drive, and just allow it to roll right over. Next thing I want to point out is this linkage here that holds the mower up has to end up between those 2 painted red pieces on the deck. While he holds the camera there, I'll go ahead and lower the 3-point hitch, which will allow that to drop. And there we go. That'll fall right down in between there. Again, we'll just put the pins back in place. Sometimes you may have to roll the deck back and forth a little bit. There we go. And again, put your retaining ring on so the pin doesn't fall back out. Do the same on the other side. This is a good thing to point out. Notice how the mower bracket did not line up this time on its own. All you have to do is scoot that deck over a little bit, roll it back to where that pin will go right in. There we go. And put the retaining pin on. Last pin we have to install is on the bracket on the front of the deck, which we actually slid out of the way. This rear part hooks right onto the front of the deck. Just slide that over and allow it to drop into place. And this part here catches onto that round bar. Make sure our pin's out of the way. Okay, so you'll position it like this with this tube up. That'll go right in there, and then you'll lift up on this handle, which will roll that into place. and allow that silver pin to drop back in. At this point, all that's left is putting on the drive shaft. Keep in mind, if you've operated the tractor with this removed, the shaft on the tractor may have turned. If you make sure the PTO engagement lever on the tractor is in neutral, with the tractor off, you can spin that freely by hand. That is much easier than trying to spin the shaft on the mower as you're fighting the resistance of the gearbox and the blades. So again, when you go to reinstall, pull that collar back, line it up squarely. You can kind of feel when it grabs the splines, and now it's on securely. Another thing we'd like to touch on is these drive shafts do have some maintenance that needs to be done, all very simple. There are a total of 3 grease points, one on each U-joint here and at the other end of the shaft. These are half shafts. This is the rear half that goes to the tractor. There's a grease point in the center of the shaft where they overlap, and then a third on the U-joint on the end of the mower. You can see that grease fitting right there. We can turn that over to allow access to it with a grease gun. If and when you take these shafts apart, it's important to note that they only go on in one direction. Hopefully we can get this on the camera, but there is one spot where it's missing a spline. That has to line up with one spot on the drive shaft, which is right here. You can see that circular mark indentation there. So just make sure when you slide that back on that those 2 places line up, and it'll slide right together. Notice if you try any other way, it will not go on. Only in that one spot will it slide together.